Lynn, open up.
Okay, welcome back. We're here again to talk to you from Gabriel Speaks. I'm Lynn. This is Anthony, Father Anthony. And given the fact that the debacle of Benghazi hasn't left my mind lo these many months, I would like to say a few words about an experience that I had with the now deposed, disgraced leader of Libya, General Muammar Gaddafi.
And by the way, this question was submitted to us.
Someone who knew about my experience. I went to Libya in 1979. It was, I went for the now defunct Montreal Star. As I went, the paper went out of business, but I was already there. Anyway, it was the 10-year anniversary of what they called the Green Revolution. And in those days, Gaddafi was in fine form. He was thin, and he looked like a racehorse to me. He looked like a well-trained, well-fed, well-exercised racehorse. And I was fortunate enough to interview him both at a press conference. He answered a few of my questions, and privately. My son David went on that trip with me because they didn't want a woman from the West traveling alone in Libya. So I took my son with me, who was 6'5" at the time, so there was, even though he was only 18, but at least I had a male with me, which was one of their requirements. At the overall press conference, I asked the colonel what he thought of reports of him in the Western press that said that he was crazy and mercurial and enigmatic and difficult. And he said, "I am as you see me, and I am as you will experience me during your visit here." And there was a reporter from the New York Times sitting next to me that said, "Do you want to live?" Ask him that question. I felt no danger. A few days later, I had the privilege of following in a Jeep across the desert. I had no idea where I was, but we would stop periodically. He would set a tent with carpeting and everything, and then I would interview him and ask him questions. He was a great admirer of Abraham Lincoln. He said he had made many overtures to the West and was unable to forge or to form any kind of friendship with Western countries, which was why he bonded so closely with Russia and with. At that time there was a conference, and every revolutionary cult that existed was there. I had the opportunity of meeting. I don't know whether it's something I should brag about, but quite a few terrorist leaders without knowing that they were terrorist leaders. We also had some United States representatives there. Vanessa Redgrave was there. For some reason, she was a big supporter of the colonel. He did seem very rational. He did seem to admire many things about the United States and wish that he could have closer ties. Is there something you wanted to ask?
No, go. Continue.
I also had a chance. I don't know whatever has become of him, and I never followed up in more recent recent years, but I also had a chance to meet his son, Saif al-Islam, who was good with the horse. All of his children were good with the good on horses. He himself was a very good horseman. I didn't see a trace of the crazy man that we saw in later years on the television when he came to the United Nations and was speaking like someone that was on something. I mean, this was a man whose hair was dyed, who had put on weight, there was nothing of the revolutionary left in him. And it was kind of sad to see. But it was also sad the way he was deposed. That whole Arab Spring was a debacle. And I don't think he deserved what happened to him. I wasn't a Gaddafi lover or a Gaddafi supporter, but I did see a rational man. I did see someone who wasn't crazy, who spoke intelligently, and who chose quite often to speak without the interpreter, which was something I admire, which is something that doesn't happen often when you're coming from the West to a Middle Eastern country. You said there was a question or two that you might have.
How do you think the people of Libya fared under Gaddafi?
I think they fared very well.
He kept the tribes from killing each other.
He was a tribesman himself. And he brought some sort of. I'm not glorifying him. He was a Bedouin. He was a Bedouin. I mean, but he did keep peace. Everyone ate well. Everyone had what they need for clothing. Everyone had a right to go to school. And he told me that he promised his mother on her deathbed that he would look out for women's rights. And to my knowledge, things have regressed in Libya as far as women are concerned since Gaddafi's demise.
What do you think? Why do you think he changed over the years? Do you have any insight?
I don't have any insight. I think
You went another time too.
I went 2 years later. I went 2 years later and I didn't have as much contact with him. It was always on group, as part of a group. But he did recognize me and he did single me out and thank me for the article. But I can't say, I think maybe he just got old and maybe dementia took over, because if you watched any of the speeches that he made at the United Nations, he was delusional. He was delusional about wanting to take the United Nations to the Middle East someplace, and he was very worried about his own gravitas and his own image, which is not something I saw. I met a revolutionary and I saw a sick old man in his final years who absolutely didn't deserve to be treated the way he was in the end. Because, as you said, as I mentioned before, I think the Libyan people fared very well under him, especially women.
Do you believe all the reports that he sponsored terrorism?
Yes, I do believe he sponsored terrorism, because I met terrorists when I was there. I met Yasser Arafat, who this was before the PLO was recognized. I met George Habash. There were people there from the IRA. I mean, every terrorist group known to man was represented at that 10-year revolution. So yes, I believe he sponsored terrorism. I don't believe that he had death squads. They were accusing him of having death squads that he sent people to kill people in the United States or wherever Libyans had escaped to. I don't believe he cared about that much.
Well, why do you think the people eventually turned on him?
I think it was part of that whole Arab Spring thing. I think it was all outside agitators. I think that the whole Arab Spring was set up by outside agitators. I don't think his people really wanted him gone, his own people. It's an opinion. It's only an opinion.
Look what happened in Libya after he was killed. It descended into chaos. He kept it together.
And as with any dictator with a strong hand, he wasn't kind to his enemies. Saddam Hussein was not kind to his enemies, but they kept it together. It's not our business. Sorry, it's not our business. Benghazi was not our business. Anyway, if anybody has any more questions that they want to ask about my time with Gaddafi, I have marvelous photographs. We'll do it another time. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for watching and listening. And these are slices of life of the Gabriels that we'll put in from time to time, from our varied experiences over the years. I hope you enjoy them because it's a part of history and we lived it. God bless you.